heaven was shocked by the way you loved your soulmate. There are some kinds of love that cannot be explained by ordinary words. Love that arrives quietly, yet changes everything inside you. Love that makes you look at one person and feel as though your soul remembers something your mind cannot fully understand. And perhaps that is the kind of love you experienced. You did not love halfway. You did not simply offer a few emotions and walk away when life became difficult. You loved with a depth that surprised even you. Through silence, distance, confusion, waiting, and moments when you questioned everything, there was still a part of your heart that refused to believe that what you felt was meaningless. It was as if something greater inside you kept whispering, "This love has changed you for a reason." And that is why heaven was shocked by the way you loved. Not because love is meant to make you suffer, chase, or lose yourself, but because your heart revealed a depth of devotion that forced you to discover who you truly were. You gave more than words. You gave hope. You gave patience. You gave forgiveness when your heart was hurting. You continued to see possibility when circumstances seemed impossible. And perhaps the greatest miracle was not simply the person you loved. It was the person you became because of the journey. But listen carefully. Loving someone deeply should never require you to abandon yourself. Real love does not ask you to become smaller, weaker, or less worthy. The love that is truly meant to transform your life will eventually lead you back to your own heart. It will teach you that you are not here to beg for affection. You are not here to chase someone into recognizing your value. You are not here to live in fear that love will disappear the moment you stop proving yourself. No, you are here to remember that the love you seek outside yourself must first become alive within you. Maybe you have spent nights wondering whether they ever felt what you felt. Maybe you have replayed conversations, remembered their smile, or felt an unexplainable longing when everything became quiet. Maybe part of you has asked, was this connection real? And perhaps the answer is not found in how perfectly the story unfolded. Perhaps the answer is found in how deeply it awakened you. Some people enter your life and reveal wounds you never knew you carried. Others awaken dreams you thought were impossible. And sometimes, the person you call your soulmate becomes the mirror that shows you both your greatest capacity to love and your deepest need to finally love yourself. So today, release the idea that your love was wasted simply because the journey was difficult. Every tear taught you something. Every moment of waiting revealed something. Every disappointment invited you to choose yourself again. Your heart was not foolish because it loved deeply. Your heart was courageous. But now courage is calling you to a higher level. Love them if you choose, but do not disappear inside the love. Hope if you wish, but do not place your entire life on pause. Believe in beautiful possibilities, but remember that you are already a beautiful possibility. Because the most extraordinary love story may not begin when someone finally chooses you. It may begin when you realize that you have always been worthy of being chosen. And from that moment, everything changes. You stop loving from fear and begin loving from fullness. You stop asking, will they stay, and begin asking, does this love honor who I am? You stop waiting for someone else to complete your story, and you become the author of the life you were always meant to live. Perhaps heaven was shocked by the way you loved, because your heart carried more power than you realized. But now, let that same love return to you. Let it heal you. Let it strengthen you. Let it remind you that the deepest love is not the one that makes you lose yourself. It is the one that helps you finally come home to yourself. And as you rise into that truth, you may discover that love has been preparing something far greater than you ever imagined. The story is not over, your heart is not forgotten, and the love you are truly meant to experience will never require you to destroy yourself just to prove that you deserve it. Your love was deeper than circumstances, and that is something you must understand before you judge yourself for caring so much. There were moments when everything around you seemed to tell you that the connection was too complicated, too distant, too uncertain, or too difficult to understand. There may have been silence between you and the person you loved. There may have been misunderstandings that left you wondering whether your heart had imagined the entire connection. There may have been days when their actions did not match the love you believed was possible. Yet even through those moments, you discovered something remarkable about yourself. Your ability to love was far greater than the circumstances surrounding the relationship. You saw beyond one difficult conversation. You looked beyond one disappointing moment. You understood that human beings sometimes act from fear, confusion, pain, and experiences they have never healed. Your heart had the capacity to see a person as more than their worst moment. And while that kind of compassion can be beautiful, this journey has also taught you an important truth. Loving deeply does not mean accepting everything. It does not mean waiting endlessly for someone to become ready. It does not mean sacrificing your peace to prove the sincerity of your heart. The depth of your love was real, but now you are being called to discover an even deeper form of love, the kind that includes you. Perhaps that is what made your journey feel so extraordinary. You were willing to believe when others would have immediately given up. You continued to hold hope when circumstances looked discouraging. You remembered the beautiful moments even when your heart was surrounded by questions. But your power was never supposed to come from endlessly enduring pain. Your power came from your capacity to choose the meaning you gave to every experience. You can acknowledge that someone mattered to you without making your entire future depend on them. You can appreciate what your heart felt without demanding that the past repeat itself. You can remain open to reconciliation while still moving forward with your own life. This is where true emotional strength begins. The love you gave was not wasted because it revealed the enormous capacity of your heart. It showed you that you are capable of loyalty, tenderness, patience, and devotion. Those qualities are not weaknesses, they are gifts. But every gift needs wisdom. A heart without boundaries can become exhausted. A person who loves without remembering their own value can begin to believe that suffering is the price of devotion. It is not. Real love should have room for honesty, mutual effort, respect, and emotional safety. So if you have been asking yourself why you loved so deeply, perhaps the answer is not that you were foolish. Perhaps you were simply discovering how much love existed within you. The next step is learning where that love belongs and how it should be expressed. Do not be ashamed of your tenderness. Do not regret having a heart that could see beauty even during difficult seasons. Instead, take what you have learned and allow it to make you wiser. If this person is meant to remain in your life, let the relationship grow through genuine communication, mutual choice, and shared effort. If the path changes, allow yourself to believe that your ability to love deeply has not disappeared. It will travel with you into every healthy relationship and every beautiful chapter ahead. The circumstances may have tested your heart, but they did not define its worth. Your love was bigger than the temporary conditions you faced, and your future is bigger than the chapter that once made you question everything. Today, choose to honor what you felt without becoming trapped by it. Honor the memories without surrendering your future to them. Honor the connection while honoring yourself even more. Because the most powerful proof of deep love is not that you can endure endless uncertainty. It is that you can love sincerely, learn bravely, release fear, and still remain whole. That is the love heaven would celebrate. Not a love that destroys you, but a love so deep that even after everything, it teaches you to rise, to heal, and to there is a powerful difference between loving someone deeply and losing yourself in the process. And your journey is teaching you how to recognize that difference. You may have once believed that the more you sacrificed, the more real your love became. Perhaps you thought that waiting longer, forgiving more, thinking about them constantly, or placing their happiness above your own was proof of how deeply you cared. But true love was never meant to empty you of your identity. It was never meant to make you forget your dreams, abandon your peace, or question whether you are worthy of being loved in return. The power of your heart is not measured by how much pain you can survive for another person. It is measured by your ability to love sincerely while remaining connected to your own dignity, joy, and inner strength. This is one of the greatest lessons your soulmate journey can reveal. You can love someone with all the tenderness in your heart and still refuse to chase what is unwilling to meet you halfway. You can care deeply and still maintain boundaries. You can wish them healing and happiness without making yourself responsible for fixing every problem in their life. You can remember the connection without allowing memories to prevent you from living in the present. That is not coldness, that is emotional maturity. There was a time when you may have looked outside yourself for every answer. You may have searched for signs that they still cared, analyzed every word, wondered what their silence meant, or waited for some dramatic moment that would finally remove all uncertainty. But your heart was never meant to live as a prisoner of unanswered questions. The moment you return to yourself, something begins to change. You realize that your peace does not need permission from another person. Your confidence does not need to be approved by the one you love. Your life does not begin only when someone sends a message, makes a confession, or chooses to return. Your life is happening now, and you are allowed to experience beauty while the future remains unknown. This does not mean you have to stop loving. It means your love becomes healthier because it is no longer controlled by fear. You begin to understand that the strongest heart is not the heart that holds on at any cost. Sometimes, the strongest heart knows when to pause, breathe, step back, and allow another person the freedom to make their own choices. Love cannot be forced, and genuine connection cannot be built by one person carrying the entire emotional weight of two people. Mutual love requires two willing hearts. So let this be the moment when you stop confusing obsession with devotion, anxiety with passion, and suffering with proof of love. You deserve a love that allows you to breathe. You deserve conversations where your feelings matter, effort that does not have to be begged for, and a relationship where your individuality is not treated as a threat. The love you gave was beautiful, but now allow yourself to receive beauty too. Return to the dreams you placed on hold. Return to the parts of yourself that became quiet while you were focused on someone else. Laugh again without wondering whether they are watching. Create again without needing their approval. Build a life that feels meaningful even while your love story continues to unfold. Because when you reclaim the power of your heart, you do not become less loving, you become more free. And freedom allows love to become a choice rather than a desperate need. If your paths come together, let it be because both of you are willing to meet in honesty and mutual respect. If life leads you elsewhere, trust that your capacity to love will not be lost. The heart that loved so deeply can love again, but next time it can love with greater wisdom. You are not here to prove that you are worthy by suffering. You are already worthy. Your soulmate journey, whatever form it ultimately takes, should remind you of that truth. Love boldly, but do not abandon yourself. Feel deeply, but protect your peace. Hope beautifully, but continue living. The greatest power you can carry is a heart that remains open to love, while never forgetting the person who deserves your love too, you. Recognize that you were always worthy of receiving the same beautiful love you were so willing to give. There are connections that seem to arrive without a logical explanation. You meet someone, hear their voice, notice their presence, or share a simple moment, and something inside you becomes unusually aware. It may feel as though your heart recognizes a familiar energy, even when your mind cannot explain why. Perhaps that is how your connection with this person began. There may have been something beyond the ordinary attraction, something that made you feel seen, awakened, challenged, or emotionally moved in ways you did not expect. You may have felt that certain conversations stayed with you longer than they should have, that a simple memory carried an unusual amount of meaning, or that the connection continued to affect your thoughts even during periods of distance. But the deepest purpose of such a connection may not be to convince you that another person holds the key to your happiness. Its purpose may be to reveal something within you that was waiting to be discovered. Sometimes the people who touch us most deeply become mirrors. They reflect our hopes, our fears, our wounds, our dreams, and the parts of ourselves we have not yet learned to understand. Through loving them, you may have discovered how deeply you wanted to be loved. Through missing them, you may have discovered what loneliness was trying to teach you. Through the uncertainty of the connection, You may have uncovered your own need for reassurance, security, or self-trust. This is why a profound relationship can feel almost spiritual without requiring you to ignore reality. The feelings can be real while the outcome remains unknown. The connection can be meaningful while both people still have the freedom to choose their own path. You can honor what your heart experienced without claiming control over another person's emotions or decisions. That is where wisdom enters the story. You do not have to deny your feelings simply because you cannot predict the future. You do not have to turn every coincidence into a message or every moment of silence into proof of rejection. You can remain grounded while still appreciating the mystery of human connection. Sometimes a person enters your life for a season, and the lessons they awaken remain with you forever. Sometimes a connection grows slowly after both people have matured. Sometimes the relationship you imagined transforms into something different. And sometimes the greatest gift is realizing that your soul was not only recognizing another person, it was recognizing a deeper part of you. Perhaps what felt so familiar about them was the possibility they awakened within your own heart. They reminded you that you could feel deeply. They reminded you that you still had the courage to hope. They awakened dreams of companionship, tenderness, intimacy, and emotional closeness. Those desires are not weaknesses. They are signals showing you what matters to you. But remember this. No soulmate connection should require you to remain frozen in one moment forever. If you believe this person is important to your journey, allow life to reveal the truth through healthy communication, consistent actions, and mutual willingness. Do not build your entire future upon assumptions when honest conversation can bring clarity. Your heart deserves more than endless guessing. It deserves truth. And if truth reveals that the path is different from what you imagined, trust that meaning does not disappear simply because the story changes. The love you felt can still become part of your growth. Your memories can remain precious without becoming chains. Your heart can stay open without becoming unprotected. The connection beyond words may have been powerful because it awakened you. But now let that awakening guide you toward greater self-awareness and healthier love. You are allowed to believe that some people enter our lives for reasons we may never fully understand. Yet the greatest lesson is always to return to yourself. Listen to your intuition, but balance it with reality. Honor your emotions, but do not allow fear to write the story. Love deeply, but remember that mutual love is built through two people choosing each other freely. Perhaps your soul recognized something extraordinary, but your journey is still your own. And as you continue forward, you may realize that the deepest connection you were searching for was also an invitation to finally understand, trust, and embrace the beautiful soul within you. Every tear you cried became part of a transformation you may not have understood while you were going through it. When your heart was hurting, it was easy to believe that the pain was the entire story. You may have wondered why someone you loved so deeply could create so much uncertainty inside you. You may have spent long nights replaying memories, questioning conversations, imagining different outcomes, and wishing you could return to the moment before everything became complicated. But pain has a way of bringing hidden things to the surface. The tears you cried were not proof that you were weak. They were evidence that something inside you needed to be seen, felt, and healed. Sometimes heartbreak reveals the places where we have been asking another person to give us what we have not yet learned to give ourselves. It can reveal our fear of abandonment, our need for reassurance, our difficulty with uncertainty, or the old belief that love must be earned through sacrifice. These realizations may be uncomfortable, but they are powerful because once you see a pattern, you can begin to change it. Your soulmate journey may have awakened emotions that had been sleeping inside you for years. Perhaps you discovered how much you feared being forgotten. Perhaps you realized that silence could make you feel invisible. Perhaps rejection touched an old wound that existed long before this person entered your life. None of these discoveries mean that your love was false. They simply mean that love became the doorway through which you finally met deeper parts of yourself. And this is where transformation begins. You stop asking only, "Why did this happen to me?" and begin asking, "What is this experience teaching me about myself?" That question changes everything. It takes you from helplessness to awareness. You begin to understand that while you cannot control another person's feelings, choices, or timing, you can choose what you do with your own experiences. You can choose healing. You can choose honesty. You can choose to stop repeating patterns that leave your heart exhausted. You can choose to build a life that is not dependent upon one person's ability to recognize your value. This does not erase the love you felt. It gives that love a wiser foundation. Imagine looking back one day and realizing that the season that nearly broke you also introduced you to your strength. The moments when you felt abandoned may teach you how to stay present with yourself. The times you felt unheard may inspire you to speak more honestly. The moments when you chased reassurance may lead you toward a confidence that no longer needs constant confirmation. Growth rarely feels beautiful while it is happening, but its results can change the entire direction of your life. So do not rush to erase every painful memory. Let yourself learn from it without becoming trapped by it. Forgive yourself for the moments when you gave too much, stayed too long, or ignored your own needs. You were doing the best you could with the awareness you had at that time. Shame will not heal you, but compassion can. Speak to your past self gently. That version of you was trying to love, trying to understand, and trying to survive emotions that felt overwhelming. Thank that version of yourself, and then allow yourself to grow beyond her. The tears were not meant to become your identity. They were meant to water the ground where a stronger version of you could grow. Perhaps this person will remain part of your future, or perhaps life will take you in another direction. You do not have to know that answer today. What matters is that you do not allow uncertainty to prevent your transformation. Continue becoming someone who knows how to love without disappearing, hope without losing peace, and forgive without abandoning boundaries. Every tear can become wisdom when you are willing to listen to what your heart is truly asking for. And one day, you may realize that what you once called the most painful chapter of your life was also the chapter that awakened your courage. You survived what you thought would destroy you. You learned what your heart needed to learn. You discovered that your worth remained untouched, even when love felt uncertain. And that is your transformation, not becoming a someone who never feels pain again, but becoming someone who knows that pain can be faced, understood, healed, and transformed into a deeper strength that no circumstance can take away. Love can become your greatest awakening when you finally understand that its deepest purpose is not to make you dependent on another person, but to reveal the incredible power already living within you. You may have entered this journey believing that your happiness was waiting somewhere outside of yourself, in a message, a confession, a reunion, a promise, or the moment your soulmate finally showed you the love you had always hoped to receive. But somewhere along the way, life began teaching you a deeper lesson. The love you were searching for was also calling you inward. It was asking you to discover your own heart, your own worth, your own strength, and your own ability to create a meaningful life, regardless of what another person chooses. This does not mean that relationships do not matter. They matter deeply. Human connection can be one of life's greatest gifts. Being loved, understood, supported, and chosen by someone who genuinely cares can bring extraordinary joy. But the healthiest love does not demand that one person become the entire foundation of your existence. A soulmate should be someone who can walk beside you, not someone you must shrink yourself for. Love should expand your life, not make your entire identity depend upon whether another person stays, leaves, responds, or changes. And perhaps this is the awakening your journey has been leading you toward. You were never meant to spend your life proving that you deserve to be loved. You were never meant to exhaust yourself chasing clarity from someone unwilling to communicate. You were never meant to believe that suffering was the highest form of devotion. Real love is not always perfect, but it should make room for honesty, respect, accountability, safety, and mutual effort. The moment you understand this, you begin to see your relationship story differently. You stop asking only what the other person feels, and you begin asking what you need. You stop measuring your value by their attention, and you begin remembering that your value existed before they entered your life. You stop placing your dreams on hold while waiting for the future to arrive, and you begin living now. This is not giving up on love. This is becoming ready for a healthier version of it. Perhaps the greatest awakening is realizing that you can hold hope and freedom at the same time. You can care for someone and still release the need to control the outcome. You can believe that reconciliation is possible without putting your life on pause. You can appreciate a meaningful connection while allowing reality, time, communication, and mutual choice to reveal what the relationship truly is. That is emotional freedom. You no longer need every question answered immediately because you trust yourself to handle whatever truth eventually appears. And when you trust yourself, love no longer feels like a constant emergency. It becomes a space where you can breathe. So if you have loved your soulmate with a depth that changed your entire world, do not dismiss the journey. Something important happened within you. You learned how deeply you could feel. You discovered what you longed for. You uncovered wounds that needed healing. You experienced hope, vulnerability, fear, courage, and perhaps even the painful beauty of letting go of expectations you could no longer carry. All of it has shaped you. But now, let this journey lead you higher. Let your love become an awakening rather than a prison. Let it teach you that your heart can remain open without becoming unprotected. Let it remind you that being chosen by someone else is beautiful, but choosing yourself is essential. Continue becoming the person you would be proud to meet. Continue building peace within your own life. Continue loving your family, pursuing your dreams, nurturing your friendships, and honoring the future that still waits for you. If this soulmate is meant to walk beside you, let the connection be built through mutual love and willing participation. If another chapter is waiting, do not fear it. Your capacity to love is not limited to one moment, one person, or one version of the future. Heaven may have been shocked by the way you loved, because your heart carried extraordinary depth. But perhaps heaven is even more amazed by what happens next. When the same person who loved so deeply finally awakens to her own worth. When you understand that you are not incomplete without someone else, you become free to receive love without fear. And from that freedom, your greatest chapter can begin. Love awakened you, but now let wisdom guide you. Your heart is still capable of miracles. And the most beautiful one may be the moment you realize that you were never lost. You were simply being led back to yourself.